Welcome back to another episode of Tailgate with the Tullies. I'm CJ.
I'm Ryan.
And with Wildcard Week ahead of us here, we just want to go over some takes, give you guys some picks, and Ryan has some breaking news.
Yes, guys, some great news. I'll be getting a ring light. This will be the last video in the darkness.
Yes, that is huge news. We also do have our merch shop open, so check that out. DM us at Tully Tailgate if you are interested in any merch. The graphics is up now, so just check that out. To start off the weekend, we have our first game Saturday at 4:30. That is the Chargers at the Texans. A lot of hate has been thrown the Texans' way this season. They were my pick to win the Super Bowl to begin the year. They have not played to their standard. And in this game, I'm looking at the Chargers defense and the well-oiled machine they've had on offense with Herbert leading that, as well as Lad McConkey playing great on offense. On the other end, you do have CJ Stroud not having his best season after an outstanding performance last year. Stroud still throwing for 3,700 yards and 20 touchdowns. Mixon and Collins both on offense going over 1,000 yards this season. So Mixon was a huge surprise, able to come over here to Houston and provide. Texans offense is going to be the story of the game. They haven't been able to get too much going, especially after losing Tank Dell and taking out that weapon. And the Chargers, best defense in the league as when it comes to scoring, only allowing 17 points a game. Ryan, any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, no, I think what you said there was perfect. The Texans offense versus Chargers defense is going to be the story of the game. Texans have struggled a lot against poorer teams this year, either losing games or staying really close to them. I mean, on Christmas they had the 31-2 loss to the Ravens. So there are like issues here with the Texans offense. You need CJ Stroud to play like that 2023 season. He does have no Tank Dell and no Stephon Diggs. That is an issue. Even when they were there, he still wasn't producing as much as he did last year. So it is very important to click on this offense, especially without your top two receivers, having Nico Collins and Joe Mixon really provide for this game. I think the Chargers are going to win this one. I don't think this is going to be a close game unless CJ Stroud can pull a rabbit out of his hat. But even with this game being in Texas and the Chargers not really having traveling fans or fans in general, I still think that this is going to be a Justin Herbert masterclass. He choked his last time in the playoffs, and I think he's going to bounce back from this one. I think this is going to be a great day for Justin Herbert.
Yeah, the Chargers like to keep it tight as well. But I do think, and I've been saying it all year, I'm going to ride with the Texans on this one. Give me CJ Stroud overcoming adversity his whole career. Give me the Texans at home to win this game. Following that, we do have a second game of the slate here on Saturday, being the Steelers at the Ravens, Saturday at 8 o'clock. Steelers D has been doing it all for them this year. They have not been able to get too much going on offense, too many consistent players. You do have Najee Harris playing decent for his standard at this point. Pickens will have a good game here or there, but it really comes down to this defense where you have TJ Watt with 11 and a half sacks, Patrick Queen 129 tackles, and Jackson with 6 interceptions on the season. So those guys just holding down the fort on defense. The Steelers defense is eighth in points against, so they are kind of like the Chargers, just in that top 10 rank of stopping offenses. The Zay Flowers injury for the Ravens will be interesting, is if he can play this week. There's another weapon that the Ravens offense is going to need. Lamar having obviously his historic run here, possibly his third MVP. I personally think he deserves MVP with 4,100 yards, 41 touchdowns on the season. And Derrick Henry, only runner up to Saquon Barkley in the rushing stats with 1,900 yards and 16 touchdowns. Another big point here for me is Mark Andrews has been playing very well down the stretch. I wasn't performing much at all as a fantasy owner of him to begin this season, but down the stretch, he's really been getting those end zone targets. And I think with an offense that the Ravens have third in scoring for, I think that is big. So give me the Ravens to win this one.
Yeah, as you know, all year long, I've been saying that the Steelers team is fraudulent, that they don't have an offense that can get things done. That's been proven these last couple of weeks. Obviously, having a tougher schedule, but just not being able to get it done. Where you controlled your own destiny, you lost to the Ravens, you lost these games that you needed to win. It came down to the Steelers losing it for themselves. Mike Tomlin gets very comfortable when he gets this winning record. I don't think that this Steelers team has any chance in this game. I'm being for real. I'm not just saying that because I don't like the Steelers, but I think that this is going to be a dominant performance by Lamar Jackson. He's had his issues in the playoffs. He's had his struggles. He's been called a playoff choker. I think that this could be a year where they really get it done here. And I know that they would possibly play the Bills if they win, and so that could be a concern. But I think that this is a game where Lamar is going to prove that he can play in the playoffs against a good defense. But yeah, Lamar Jackson plus Derrick Henry in the run game, even if Zay Flowers doesn't play, that there's still so many pieces in that offense. And I just think that the Steelers offense just struggles too much to get anything done.
Yeah, I agree with that. Looking forward now to Sunday, our first 1 o'clock game here. We have the Broncos at the Bills. The Broncos playing very well down the stretch. Bo Nix with an outstanding season, 3,700 yards, 29 touchdowns in his rookie outing. But alongside that, you really just have this Bills team that's been doing it all. Josh Allen carrying all season long with 3,700 yards, 28 touchdowns. You have James Cook going over 1,000 yards this season. I know you have a little beef with him. You're not too much of a fan of that 1,000 yard season, but the Broncos to win this game will need to keep it low. They're the third in points against, only allowing 18 points a game. So for the Broncos to have a chance, they can't make this a shootout with Josh Allen because you know Josh Allen will overtake that. With that being said, give me the Bills to win at home here.
Yeah, like you said, Bo Nix having a great season. Someone who I really enjoyed watching all year. Someone who, if Jaden Daniels wasn't having the year he was having, would probably have been up there for Rookie of the Year. Just a great quarterback and a team that doesn't have many weapons. There's been a lot of running back controversy there. Wide receiver, who's the number one. You had Cortland Sutton have a really good year because of Bo Nix. This defense has been outstanding. Unfortunately, even with all that said, it's Josh Allen on the other end, the potential MVP candidate who did one heck of a season without having 1,000 yard rusher. I know James Cook got it in the 17th game, but Josh Allen did not uh, play that game. Well, he started because he got the record, but no number 1,000 yard receiver either. So a historic season for Josh Allen himself, who is just going to continue that in the playoffs. I think this Bills team is very scary. I think even without having a great offensive weapon, they can get things done, and I think that they're going to be too much for this Broncos defense.
Yeah. Looking forward, we have the big game for us here on Sunday, 4:30. Packers coming into the link, taking on the Birds. The biggest storyline going into this game is going to be Jordan Love's health. He is expected to play with the elbow injury, but just how much of his performance will he be able to bring with him? You also have Christian Watson now out for the season with a torn ACL, so another weapon they're going to lose there on offense. But this Eagles defense and this Eagles offense have to be 100% ready. When you stop Saquon Barkley from playing last week in hopes that you're going to use him to win a Super Bowl, he better come out and run for 200 yards this weekend. He better be more well rested than anybody. Jalen Hurts coming off concussion protocol. He is fit to play this week. He did just start practicing. And the Eagles defense finished with the best in scoring against opponents down the stretch. Zach Bond, I mean, 151 tackles. You couldn't have expected more from him. CJ GJ, 6 interceptions. And Josh Sweat leading the team with 8 sacks. So the team really stepping up in the absence of some of the greatest players that stepped down last year. You also have a lot on the offensive line stepping up. So I'm going to take the Birds at home here. Again, with Saquon not playing, this offense better be ready to run.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that this is a great game for the Eagles. It's a big game for Jalen Hurts in his career as he took the team to the Super Bowl that one year, but he hasn't been able to do anything since. Even though they lost in the playoffs to the Bucks last year, so it's kind of a monumental game for Jalen Hurts as he's trying to come back to that 2022 season. Uh, Eagles did get the best of the Packers earlier this year. Saquon had a great game, but this wasn't Jalen Hurts' best game of the year in that game. So I would love to see Jalen Hurts really start to move the ball more, not just rely on the run game, but still get the run game going, get it going early so that you don't have to just keep throwing the ball with Jalen, as that's not something that he does very well when the game becomes one dimensional. So the Eagles need to keep this game run, 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 but also be able to throw the football because you're going to be playing top competition. And if you win this game, you're going to be playing tougher teams. So you want to keep that option open of Jalen Hurts being a passer. That said, on the Packers side, questionable Jordan Love is going to be a little scary if I was a Packers fan, just because Malik Willis, while he did do the job when Love was hurt, I mean, I would not want to see a playoff game with him. It's kind of like Josh McCown the one year for the Eagles, but no Christian Watson. Still no number one receiver on this team. While they have many good receivers, there's just no one guy who can get it done for you every game. So I think that would be a little concerning as well, especially with this Eagles cornerbacks who have been locking down a lot of receivers. I know Quinyon struggled against the Cowboys, but he'll bounce back in the playoffs and he'll really get things going.
Yeah, and finishing out our Sunday slate, we have Washington at the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield's been doing it, and I think obviously he's not MVP status, but the way that he's been playing this year is outstanding. You also have just that offense in general. You have Bucky Irving with an outstanding season, and a lot of people have become fans of him this year. Mike
Bucky
Evans
Irving.
going for his 11th straight thousand yard
Yard.
year. Yeah, with 11 touchdowns this season on top of that. As I said, Baker 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns. I mean, to think this guy was on the Browns, the Panthers, and couldn't get anything done to what he has done here in Tampa Bay is amazing. You do have the nice run here by Jaden Daniels in his rookie season. I know you're a huge fan of him. 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns. He's also rushed for 891 yards. A lot of that I feel like coming from the beginning of the season, though he has somewhat slowed down as the season's continued. But this Bucks offense, third in passing yards, fourth in rushing yards, and fourth in points scored. Give me the Bucks at home.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield having the best year of his career, and it just shows that a change of scenery can really do great for players. I mean, going from bouncing from team to team, getting the signed with the Rams, and then playing in that Thursday night football game, like crazy run for Baker just to be able to get here and finally be successful and show why he was a first round draft pick. It's very important, and I think he having this such a good year, and he lost Godwin halfway through the season. Mike Evans was hurt for a bit. He was throwing to Sterling Shepard at one point this year and Trey McMillan. So like not having the best receivers at different points in the season, and he's still able to get it done. They have wins over the Eagles and the Lions, keeping games close with the Chiefs and Ravens. So being able to compete against good competition too. And then on the other side, you do have the Commanders who've had a great season, a very surprising season. I'm not surprised at all, though. I've said this from the start. Once they got Jaden Daniels, this team was going to be competitive. And Jaden Daniels has been everything that I think people thought Caleb Williams was going to be, and that like that number one like could take his team to the playoff in the first year, and he's doing it with less than Caleb Williams. So I think that this is for sure lock in Jaden Daniels Rookie of the Year. Unfortunately, I do think that their run's going to come to an end in this rematch of a 2020 game, which was one of my favorite playoff games of all time. I think the Taylor Heineke versus Tom Brady that was awesome, and
It
so I'd
was.
love to see something like that again this year with maybe Jaden Daniels diving for a pylon touchdown. So. Give me the Bucks in this though. I just think that Baker Mayfield, this is his year.
Yeah, and then wrapping up the wild card weekend here, we have the Vikings at the Rams. Vikings with the chance to take that one seed last week, absolutely fell apart. Couldn't score a touchdown. Sam Darnold forgot how to play quarterback. He did have 4,300 yards on the season, so not sure what happened in that last game. But the Vikings loss did come with only 166 yards by Daniels. But the Rams started this season so hot that I had said Matt Stafford was looking like he could be MVP after that first game against the Lions after a close loss. They did have a 5 game win streak, including a 44-42 win over the Bills, outdueling Josh Allen in that game. There's so many weapons on this Rams offense that if they can get things going, they will be a scary team with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams. On the other end, you do have Justin Jefferson you're worried about, and Aaron Jones has had a solid season after coming from the Packers. So should be an interesting matchup if the Lions let that last week kind of ruin their mojo going into the playoffs, or if they can keep it up. But give me the Rams in this one.
Yeah, like you said, Darnold struggled in that game against the Lions. It's something that I'd be a little scared about just because another guy who changed the scenery did very well for him. But does that, like, my biggest thing with that is it could motivate you or it could destroy you.
Mhm.
And I think that this is going to be something that destroys the Vikings. I think that you were riding so much on that game being like a playoff game, and you showed up in that game playing like it was just a nothing. And it just that would scare me if I was a Vikings fan. And I just think that this Rams team has so many weapons, and I know they've been struggling. They've actually had really rough weeks of scoring like less than 20 points, but still scraping out wins, which just shows that they have the ability to win games even when they're not fully there. And so I think that despite the Vikings' great season and Sam Darnold having such a good year, I still think that this Rams team is going to be able to do it. They got the run game, they have the pass game, they have so many weapons on this team that I don't think that the Vikings defense, who despite having one of the most fun defenses this year with their celebrations, I just think that this defense is going to have nothing to celebrate this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see if they're all in this together. Just going back, I will take the Ravens, the Texans, the Bills, the Buccaneers, the Rams, and the Eagles this weekend.
I will be taking the Ravens, the Bills, the Chargers, the Eagles, the Bucks, and the Rams.
And so the big difference there being the Chargers and Texans, but we obviously know who will win. Hopefully this doesn't come
Chargers.
back to clip me and bite me. But thank you guys for watching another episode of Tailgate with the Tullys. I'm CJ,
I'm Ryan.
and we look forward to bringing you guys a lot more this year in 2025. So take it easy, and we'll see you next time.